Hey guys, Phil Harris here from beginnerdjlessons.com. As many of you will know, I recently made the switch from working with regular controllers and Serato to working with CDJ 3000s and Rekordbox. And I want to make a quick video just to run through the 7 most kind of interesting things I've noticed from going from that setup to this sit-up. We should all do more sit-ups. Let's get on with the video. Hey guys, I want to start this video by saying that I absolutely love DJing with these DJ decks. There's something really awesome about them. They feel so professional. So I wanted to just say that before I go any further, because a lot of these things I'm now about to tell you about are kind of, I suppose you would say, negative things, because it's like things I had to get used to, things that didn't make any sense to me coming to these for the first time. So, first thing I noticed is the size, right? These things are huge. Now, just to give you an example, I've got 2 other decks with me here. These are my trusty DDJ SX2. And I'm just going to give you a size comparison of the 2, okay? So that's the one, and that's the other. You'll see that they are significantly, like, look at the jog wheel next to each other. It's the one thing I really noticed is these things are really chunky. And I've just got another one here. The DDJ 400s. I mean, look at that. The size difference is just unbelievable. I know that seems like such an obvious thing to say, but it was the first thing when I took these out of the box. I was like, oh my gosh, these things are absolutely freaking huge. I'm not going to dwell on that point. It's just one of the first things I noticed. So let's move on to point number 2. Okay, so point number 2 is this. I'm used to, with controllers, having touch-sensitive jog wheels. And what I mean by that is a song's playing and you touch the jog wheel ever so slightly and everything comes to a halt. That doesn't happen with the CDJs, right? With CDJs, they're mechanical jog wheels, which essentially means it's actually pressure-sensitive, not touch-sensitive. Now, when that comes to doing things like scratching and stuff like that, it's like, whoa, I've actually got to press down on these things for it to function the way I want it to. For example, watch, I can press this sample here. I'm just going to set it off and touch the jog wheel. And you'll notice that it still plays. I'm touching the jog wheel now. To make this even weirder, I'm actually going to spin the jog wheel back while it plays. And you'll notice it won't reverse because I'm not putting enough pressure on it. That's really bizarre. For someone like me who's come from controllers to CDJs, you've got to actually put pressure down. So watch, I'll put the pressure down now and it'll obviously work. You see how kind of weird that is? So I just wanted to say that. It's something I've noticed, especially from doing a lot of scratching recently. That's something that I picked up on. I was like, that's unusual. I've never experienced that before with any of the controllers I've used. Okay, let's move on to the third point. The third thing I noticed, and this is a bit of a gripe that I have, coming from controllers where hot cues have a gate effect. What I mean by a gate effect is you press the button and it plays the sound, and you take your finger off the button and it instantly stops. I've become very used to using this, and I enjoy the fact they've got that gate that you can play as much of the note as you want and then you take your finger off. You can't do that with these CDJs, at least these CDJ 3000s you can't. You press a hot cue and that's it, the song just plays. There's no way you can turn it into gate mode. It's just not allowed to do that. Which I'm like, why wouldn't they just allow you to do that? Now, just to give you an idea why I find this kind of annoying is, say you've got like a melody and you've chopped it up and you're going to play that melody back differently. So we've got this melody here. Now, something I'll do quite a lot is I'll chop this up. So I'll kind of go. And what you'll instantly notice is kind of annoying is if I want to leave a bit more of a gap with that sound, suddenly it starts playing other notes, which ruins my new melody, right? Because I can't stop it playing. It just plays straight away. So that's kind of annoying. Now, I know one workaround here is you just press the pause button after every note. So you can go. But it's just like, it's annoying having to do a workaround. It's like, why is that function why can't we just select that? So I'm not going to bang on about it much more, but that's one of the things I noticed. I was like, that's weird, right? Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, point number 4. Weird thing I noticed about these DJ decks, and I was like, these are broken when I discovered this. If you put it from vinyl mode to CDJ mode here, you'll probably already hear that, right? It starts skipping. And I was like, they've sent me a broken one. Like, I've got broken DJ decks. That's a pain in the arse. But I did a bit of research, and apparently it's supposed to do that. So let me explain. In CDJ mode, when you press pause on a track, it plays like half a second of the track on loop. Listen. Really, really weird. Now, apparently it comes from like an old school thing where a lot of DJs wanted to be able to hear the exact point they're on. Maybe they didn't have waveforms or something back then, and they could put it on and they could hear for exactly where like the click of the kick was. So say they didn't have a waveform, you could press play and then line it up using the sound. Then you hit that cue point and you know you're at the beginning of the kick. Like that. Apparently that's where it comes from. But these things don't even have CD ports in them anymore, right? And I was just like, that really confused the heck out of me. And I would never, coming from a controller in Serato, would ever need to use that function ever, especially now we've got the waveforms. I can see exactly where the beginning of the kick is and can line it up perfectly without. So that was another thing I was like, what the heck, when I came to these DJ decks? Something like I've never experienced before. Let's move on to the next point. Okay, so the fifth point is that on the CDJs, you can't reorganize tracks on the fly. Now, I know everyone's going to start banging on about the Denons, but I'm not talking about the Denons, I'm talking about the CDJs. You can't rearrange tracks. Now, if you're DJing live and everything's a bit more spontaneous, that's not a problem because you're like just scrolling through different tracks and whatever. You just find the next song that you like. However, for most of the DJ sets I've been doing for the last year have been for YouTube, which are very premeditated DJ sets. Like, I know straight away which songs I'm going to be playing, in what order. I've probably even rehearsed the blend that I'm going to be doing, or not even rehearsed, but I know what I'm going to be doing, you know? And now when I was working with Serato, I get all the songs on Serato of like the songs I wanted to put in the DJ set, and I try out a few different ones, like, okay, I'm going to try that song to that song. No, that doesn't work. Okay, just delete that song. That one works better, drag it up. And I'm doing a lot of work on the fly on Serato, which I always kind of took for granted. With CDJs, it's a lot different. You can't reorganize tracks. So say I want to just play around with the DJ set on these, it means I've got to get the songs onto an SD card, bring the SD card, plug it in, try stuff out, and then make a note of the song order, take the SD card out, go back over to the computer, rearrange the songs, take the SD card. You see where like it's a lot of back and toing and froing. So it means a lot more work is done on Rekordbox and less organizational stuff is done here. Now, big shout out to Prion Johnny. I spoke to him the other day and he told me a really awesome tip, which is you can actually plug your computer with Rekordbox straight in as a source. So what I mean by source is what you'd usually do is you plug in a USB or an SD card as a source, right? And what you can do is if you plug Rekordbox, you put it on export mode, you can click it on this thing called link. If any of you want to know how to do this, let me know and I'll write it in the description below, but I don't want to spend too much time going over it. But it allows me to have my laptop as one of the sources. So I've now got playlists directly off my laptop, which is really handy for YouTube DJing because of the reason I just said. If there's a song I want to change the order on, I can just go over and change the order directly on Rekordbox and it will change on here. However, that's not always the case. Like if I was now to go and DJ somewhere else and I was taking my SD card with me, I wouldn't really have that functionality. Well, I could have it, but you're better off taking an SD card. So it's just another little thing to bear in mind is like, it's easier to kind of plan YouTube DJ sets on Serato and a controller than it is on Rekordbox and the CDJs, I have found, in my opinion, so far. Right, let's move on to the next point. Okay, next point. You're probably wondering why the heck there's this wire hanging down. Now, this is something I absolutely love / dislike about these DJ decks, right? When I used to record my DJ sets before to post on YouTube, I'd record straight off the screen, right? And I'd record the audio through Serato. You can't do that with these. So I had to go and get this thing called an EverMix, right? Which now plugs directly into the back of these. Now, it was a pain because I had to go and get this thing and it cost like £120. But actually, now I've got it, I absolutely love it because the reason why it's all the way up there, I can stream high definition, high end quality music straight from my mixer straight into my phone, which is exactly the thing you'd use if you were to stream something on your mobile or something like that. But it works so well, and it means that I can now film DJ set with just my mobile and this, and the quality is going to be perfect, which I actually have come to really love. But at the beginning I was like, oh, that's a pain, I've got to go and buy an extra thing now to actually record stuff, something I didn't really know about before I moved to CDJs. But now I've got it, I think it's cool, and I just love the fact I've got HD quality straight from the deck, straight to my phone. You can record mixes, listen to them off your phone, blah blah blah, stream stuff. Love it now, but at the time didn't know about it. Let's move on to the next point. Okay, so point number 7 is this. Something I do quite a lot when I DJ is I will swap a track out by just loading a new track. So there's no gap in the music. It's like one track is continually playing, load another track, and that track instantly starts playing. It's a really good thing to do if you're doing mashups and stuff on the fly, to just quickly swap a track out on this deck. Now, obviously, if I was like James Hype and I had like 7 of these, right, you can just do that on yet another CDJ. But I don't do that. I've only got 2, and I'm used to just DJing with 2 decks. So with Serato, you can just load a track in, and it loads from a certain cue point and continues playing from that cue point, which is really good for doing these fast mashups. But with CDJs, it's not actually possible to load in a track at a cue point and have it play from that cue point, as far as I'm aware. But the one thing you can do is you create these things called hot cue banks. And essentially what a hot cue bank is, inside the bank you can load several different tracks, and each track will have a different hot cue attached to it. And then when you load that hot cue bank into the CDJs, what you can do is, like I've got an example here, I've got 2 hot cues, A and B. A will load one song and play from a certain point, and B will load another song and play from a certain point. Watch. Which is exactly the function I wanted. But here's the snag. As quick as these things are, and I understand they're significantly faster than the CDJ 2000s, it's still not fast enough. I noticed that when I was doing this with Serato, it was like boom, instant. Like I hit that load button and in it came, like I was good to go. But notice with these, it's just a microsecond out. It's not the biggest deal in the world, just means you have to do a bit of, beat matching after you've hit the button. But it's not instant, and I did notice this. So watch, I'm going to press hot cue A now, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and I'm going to hit the second cue point here with quantize on. And you'll notice there is a lag. It's only like 1 or 2 seconds. Yeah, I know, first world problems. But the problem is, it's still not right on the dot. Like, these still cannot compare to a laptop, which is ultimately quicker. Let me show you. You notice that little delay there? Weirdly, it's quicker going back to song A. Watch, I'll do the same thing back. Weirdly, it's quicker going from B to A, but you'll notice it's not perfect. Something that I notice is like, oh, that's a pain. So like, you'll notice in my last mix, I kind of had to filter up before I hit B, which gave me enough time to kind of like, while it was high passed, beat match it back and then bring it back down again. So it was less obvious that there was that delay there. So there we go. That was another thing I noticed. Other than that, I actually think these things are freaking awesome. A couple of things I love about them. I love the big jog wheel. Everybody complains about the hot cues being up here, like, oh, you're gonna get in the way. What you don't realize from YouTube is that there's so much freaking space. Like, look at the size of my hands here, right? And like, everyone thinks you're going to be knocking the jog wheel and stuff when you play with them. You're not at all. There's a comfortable amount of space up here that you are not going to knock anything. Screen, really, really love it. Jog wheels feel like absolutely like silk. Watch, I can put the jog wheel down to the lightest setting now. I'm actually going to turn the volume down, but these things just spin forever. They're so nice, like they're just so nice. This thing, sound quality is amazing. Really love the features, love the fact you've got this like trackpad here which you can touch to add in different effects. That's really awesome. And something else which I just have to say is they just look the business. This is just wicked. They're just fun. Like, you're looking down and they just look absolutely ridiculously good. I'm going to do so many more videos on this, but I did want to just make this quick video. It's probably not quick at all, telling you about the 7 things that were my, right, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that moment, okay? So there you go. I think these things are awesome, but those are my 7 things that I noticed. I know a lot of them are actually negatives, but I actually absolutely love these things. See you in the next vid. Why not go and watch this video right now of me teaching my wife how to DJ? See you tomorrow. Ciao.